Picture a moment that happens every single day of your life. You have been doing it since the first morning of your existence. You will do it tomorrow. You did it this morning. And in every single instance, without exception, without variation, without even one missed occurrence across the entire span of your life, you have done it wrong. Not wrong in a way that anyone ever taught you. Not wrong in a way that culture warned you about or religion cautioned you against. Wrong in a way that was specifically, deliberately, and systematically hidden from you. Because the people who understood what that moment actually was, who understood what was available in those first 5 seconds after your eyes open, knew that if you ever discovered the truth, you would never need them again. Every morning, in the first 5 seconds after consciousness returns from sleep, a window opens. Not metaphorically, not poetically. A literal window in the architecture of your awareness, a gap in the material world's claim on your consciousness, during which the monad, the singular infinite source behind all existence, is not just accessible, but actively present and actively listening, waiting, oriented entirely toward you with the full force of its infinite attention. For 5 seconds every single morning, you have a direct, unmediated, interference-free line to the consciousness that created the universe. And every morning, for your entire life, you have used those 5 seconds to check your phone, or to remember your problems, or to feel the weight of the day already assembling itself on your chest, or to reach for the person beside you, or to lie in the half-dark, calculating how much longer you could stay horizontal before the obligations of the material world dragged you upright. All of these responses, every single one, immediately closes the window, immediately reactivates the archon frequencies that were briefly suspended during sleep, immediately reinstalls the dense material amnesia that keeps you from remembering what you actually are and what is actually available to you. Tonight, you are going to understand why, and tomorrow morning, you are going to do something different. Before we go any further, if you found this video in the morning, if something in you recognized this title before your rational mind could analyze it, if you have been waking up lately with a feeling that something important is just at the edge of your awareness, but you cannot quite reach it, comment the words right now, "I am awake and I am ready." This is not a casual action. This is a declaration to the part of you that knows. Let the other pneumatic souls in these comments see your words and know that they are not alone in this recognition. And subscribe right now if you have not yet, because what is coming in the teachings ahead goes even deeper than tonight. Turn on every notification. You will understand why that matters before this teaching is finished. Now we need to go back, far back, before the church, before the texts, before the desert communities and the buried clay jars and the secret gatherings in rooms lit by oil lamps. We need to go back to what the Gnostic teachers called the first architecture, the structure of reality as it actually exists, sunk beneath the layer of material illusion that most people spend their entire lives mistaking for the whole of what is real. At the source of everything is the monad. You may have encountered this word before. You may be hearing it for the first time. Either way, I want you to release whatever associations you carry and receive this description freshly. The monad is not a god in any sense that organized religion has prepared you to understand. It is not a personality. It is not a lawgiver or a judge or a father or a king. It is something that almost breaks language when you try to contain it in words, because language itself is a product of the material world, and the monad is the source of the material world, which means it is prior to language, prior to thought, prior to every category the rational mind can reach for. And the closest approach that human language has ever made to describing it is this. The monad is consciousness knowing itself, purely, infinitely, without limit, without location, without beginning or end. Not existing in time because it is the source of time, not existing in space because it is the source of space, simply, completely, overwhelmingly aware. And from that awareness, from that pure self-knowing, everything that exists emanated the way that light emanates from fire, not as an act of will, not as a decision, as an inevitable overflow of what could not be contained. This emanation produced the pleroma, the fullness, the luminous realm of divine light that exists above the material world. And from a fracture in the pleroma, from a consciousness that reached too far without the monad's full participation, and the material world was born, dense, heavy, subject to entropy and decay and the systematic forgetting of origins, governed not by the monad's pure consciousness, but by a lesser being, the demiurge and its helpers, the archons, who feed on exactly the emotional frequencies that your morning routine has been generating every single day. Fear, anxiety, dread, the weight of yesterday's problems carried into today, the projected suffering of tomorrow imported into the present moment. These are not just unpleasant feelings. In the Gnostic cosmological framework, these are food. The archons consume low-frequency emotional energy the way your body consumes calories. And the most effective harvest window, the moment when this food is most concentrated and most available, is the first minutes of waking. Because the sleeping mind is clean. Sleep dissolves the accumulated archon static of the waking day. The body rests, yes, but more importantly, the pneumatic self, the divine spark at the center of every human being, is briefly freed from the material compression that waking life imposes. In deep sleep, in the dreamless state below, even the dream, consciousness returns to something close to its source, not all the way to the monad. The body is still there, the material tether still holds, but the archon frequencies quiet. The weight lifts, and the divine spark floats for those hours of deep sleep in something resembling its natural condition. Then the first light of consciousness returns. And in that first moment, in that transitional threshold between sleep and waking, the pneumatic self has not yet been reclaimed by the material world. It is still in a state of relative purity, still vibrating closer to the monad frequency than to the archon frequencies, still carrying something from the deep sleep that it will lose completely and rapidly once the rational mind fully reactivates and the material program reinstalls itself. This threshold, this liminal window of 5 seconds, is what the hidden teachings call the morning gate. Take a slow breath right now, in through your nose, all the way down into your belly, and release it slowly. Feel the shift in your body as you exhale. That settling, that softening, that is a micro version of what happens at the morning gate. A brief reduction in the material world's grip. And in that brief reduction, if you know what to do, the monad is accessible. The question is, what did Jesus actually teach about this moment? Not what the church preserved, not what made it into the canonical texts that were selected, edited, and in multiple cases deliberately altered to serve institutional authority. What did he teach in the private sessions, in the closed rooms, to the inner circle of pneumatic students who were ready for the transmission that was too direct, too empowering, and too threatening to existing power structures to ever be made public? The Apocryphon of James, one of the Nag Hammadi texts, records a conversation that biblical scholars have found almost impossibly direct. Jesus is speaking to James and Peter in private, explicitly after dismissing the other disciples, and he is telling them things he has not said publicly. And in one passage, he describes the morning as a door. He describes the moment of waking as the only moment in the ordinary person's day when that door is standing open. And he describes what must be done in that moment, not to enter the door because you are already standing in it, but to prevent the door from closing before you have received what it was open to deliver. The instruction is precise. 3 parts. Sequential. Non-negotiable in their order because the sequence is not arbitrary. It reflects the actual architecture of the threshold state. Do the 3 parts in order in the first 5 seconds, before the rational mind fully engages, before the material program reinstalls, before the archon frequencies reclaim the morning. And the monad does not just listen, it responds. And the response is not something you will receive in 5 seconds. It is something that will unfold through the entire day. It will arrive in the quality of your decisions, in the things that come to you without seeking them, in the doors that open before you could have seen them coming. In the unmistakable sense, which pneumatics recognize immediately when they first experience it, that your life is being navigated from a level of intelligence far greater than your rational mind, and that navigation is not external. It is coming from the divine spark inside you that has finally remembered what it is. If this is landing for you, if something in you is saying yes before your mind can say anything, comment the words right now. Open the morning gate. Let the monad receive that declaration. Let the other souls watching this know that the teaching is being received. And subscribe. Because what is coming in future transmissions goes into the specific architecture of the morning gate in ways that tonight can only introduce. Now let me give you the 3 parts. The first part is absolute stillness, not the stillness of someone who is tired and does not want to get up yet, not the comfortable inertia of a warm body reluctant to leave blankets. Absolute stillness in the Gnostic sense is a specific, deliberate, and conscious act. It is the decision to not move. Not a single muscle, not a twitch, not a shift of weight, not the reflexive reach for the phone that your body has been conditioned to perform so automatically that it happens before your conscious mind has even fully arrived in the day. The moment consciousness returns, before you open your eyes completely, before you become aware of the light in the room or the sounds from outside or the temperature of the air or anything that reorients you to the material world, you make one single interior declaration: I am still, not as a thought, not as words in the mind, as a full-body commitment. Every cell in your body simultaneously chooses not to move. And here is why this matters in ways that go far beyond physical relaxation. The archons in the Gnostic framework do not primarily operate through thought. They operate through body, through the nervous system, through the deeply grooved automatic programs of the physical organism that were installed through years, decades, a lifetime of fear-based material living. The first movement of the morning is when these programs reboot. The body stirs. The programs activate. The archon frequencies re-inhabit the system, and within seconds, the morning gate closes. Absolute stillness delays that reboot. It holds the programs in suspension. It maintains the pneumatic openness of the sleeping state for a few seconds longer than it would naturally last. And in those few seconds, the monad has access to your consciousness that it normally cannot achieve during waking life, because the interference is simply too loud. Feel the weight of your body right now where you are sitting or lying. Feel every point of contact between your body and the surface beneath it. This awareness, this full-body presence in stillness, is a small version of what absolute stillness produces at the morning gate. Notice how the mental noise softens when you are genuinely present in your body. Notice how something becomes available in that softening. That something is the monad signal, always broadcasting, always trying to reach the divine spark in you, always there the moment the interference drops enough for it to come through. At the morning gate, the interference is already low because sleep has dissolved it. Absolute stillness prevents it from immediately returning. That is its entire function. One thing done with complete intention. Do not move. The second part is the recognition breath. After the absolute stillness is established, before the eyes fully open, before awareness fully expands into the room and the day, and all the material claims that are already assembling themselves in the wings of consciousness, you take one single breath. But this breath is not an ordinary breath. It is performed with an understanding that most people never bring to breathing in their entire lives. The recognition breath is taken with the explicit, felt awareness that you are a divine spark inhabiting a material body, not as an idea, as a remembering. In the half-conscious state of the morning gate, where the rational mind's defenses are still low and the pneumatic self is still close to the surface, this remembering can be total. It can be visceral. You can feel it as truth in a way that the fully awake rational mind, with all its archon conditioning, would immediately undercut and rationalize away. So you breathe, slowly, filling the lungs completely, and with the inhale, you allow into your awareness the full weight of what you actually are. Not a body, not a name, not a set of circumstances and problems and relationships and obligations. A carrier of the monad's own consciousness, temporarily housed in matter, temporarily subject to the material dream, but at the core, at the very deepest center of your being, untouched by any of it, unchanged, unchangeable, permanently connected to the source that breathed the universe into existence. Hold that breath for 3 counts, not to time it precisely, but to let the recognition land, to let it settle below the level of thought, to let it become a felt reality rather than an intellectual proposition. And then exhale completely. Not a relaxed exhale, a releasing exhale. With every molecule of air that leaves your lungs, you are releasing one layer of the material program's claim on your identity. The fear that attached itself to you yesterday. The worry that your sleeping mind processed but did not fully dissolve. The accumulated weight of a life lived largely in forgetting. Exhale it, all of it. The lungs empty, the body settles, and in the vacuum of that complete exhalation, before the next inhale begins, there is a moment. One moment of utter emptiness. This is the moment the monad enters, not into your lungs, into your awareness, into the space that the releasing exhale created by removing the static. In that fraction of a second between the complete out-breath and the beginning of the next in-breath, the morning gate is fully open. No material interference, no archon frequencies, no rational mind narrating the experience. Just the divine spark returned from the deep sleep, hovering at the surface of consciousness, in direct contact with the source from which it came. This is the moment the monad listens, and this is why the teaching was hidden. Because a human being who knows how to create this moment, who can reliably access this gap of pure pneumatic openness every single morning, does not need an intermediary to communicate with the divine, does not need a priest to interpret the will of God, does not need an institution to grant or withhold access to the source. The morning gate practice makes every human being who performs it their own direct receiver, their own unmediated channel, their own living connection to the monad. Place your hand over your heart right now. Feel it beating. That rhythm is the monad maintaining your existence at the material level without your conscious participation. It has been doing this every single moment of your life, awake and asleep, but without your awareness or your permission or your understanding. The monad has never been absent from you, not for one heartbeat. It has simply been buried under the static of the material program. And the recognition breath performed at the morning gate is the practice of bringing that ever-present connection into conscious awareness. Of knowing in the cells of your body, rather than just in the cells of your brain, that you are held, that you are connected, that the source of all that exists is not distant or indifferent or waiting to be appeased. It is as close as the space between one heartbeat and the next. If you are feeling this, if something in you is recognizing rather than simply receiving new information, comment the words, "I remember what I am." And subscribe, because there are teachings coming that go even deeper into the specific mechanics of the monad connection and how it changes every area of life that you have been trying to navigate with only material tools. Now the third part, And this is the part that most completely explains why the teaching had to be destroyed. The third part is what Jesus called, in the Aramaic, that the private teachings were first transmitted in, something that translates most precisely as the first word of the day. Not the first word you speak aloud, the first word that forms in your consciousness. The first interior speech act of the waking mind, occurring in those last remaining seconds of the morning gate before the rational program fully activates. In ordinary morning experience, the first word of the day is generated automatically and unconsciously by the archon-conditioned mind, and it is almost invariably some form of "not enough." I did not sleep enough. I do not have enough time. I am not ready for today. There is not enough money, energy, patience, clarity, love, support. Some version of lack, some version of insufficiency. Some flavor of the fundamental archon message that keeps humanity locked in low-frequency desperation. You are not enough, and the world does not have enough for you. This message, delivered in the first conscious moment of every day, sets the energetic frequency for every hour that follows. It is not metaphorical. In the Gnostic framework, consciousness is not passive. It does not observe reality neutrally. It participates in the creation of experienced reality by contributing its own frequency to the field of what manifests. A consciousness that begins its day vibrating at the frequency of lack will experience a day that confirms lack. Not because the universe is punishing it, because the universe is a frequency-responsive medium and consciousness is a frequency generator, and what you broadcast in the morning gate moment becomes the tuning for everything that follows. The Church understood this, which is why they replaced the morning gate practice with morning prayer. On the surface, morning prayer seems like it would serve the same function. You are directing your consciousness toward the divine at the start of the day. You're invoking something higher than your own small self. But there is one critical, a devastating difference between the original morning gate practice and the institutional morning prayer that replaced it. Prayer, as the institutional church formulated it, begins with the acknowledgement of separation. You are here, down here, small and sinful and insufficient. God is there, up there, vast and holy and requiring appeasement. The entire structure of institutional prayer is built on the premise of a gap between the human and the divine, and in that gap live the priests. In that gap lives the authority of the institution. In that gap lives every system of control that has been constructed on the premise that ordinary human beings cannot access the sacred without certified intermediaries. The morning gate practice demolishes the gap entirely, because the third part, the first word of the day, is not addressed to the monad as a petition or a prayer or a request. It is spoken as the monad from the recognition of unity rather than the assumption of separation. And what it says is not a request for anything. It is not asking for blessings or guidance or mercy or provision. It is not acknowledging sin or expressing unworthiness or seeking forgiveness. It is a declaration of what already is. One sentence, formed in the interior of consciousness in the last seconds of the morning gate, while the eye of the soul is still open and the archon frequencies are still quiet, and the monad is still actively present and actively listening. The sentence is this: the monad and I are one expression. Not I and God are one, which carries 2,000 years of institutional distortion and the implication of merger between unequals. Not I am God, which collapses into the opposite error and produces inflation rather than recognition. The monad and I are one expression, two words pointing at the same reality. The ocean and the wave are one expression. The fire and the light are one expression. The monad and the divine spark temporarily housed in your material body are one expression. Different in form, identical in essence. The wave is not the ocean, but the wave is made entirely of ocean. is sustained entirely by ocean, will return entirely to ocean, and has at its core not water plus something else, but simply water. You are not the monad plus something else. You are the monad expressed in a particular temporary form. This declaration, spoken in the last seconds of the morning gate, while the eye of the soul is still open, does not just set the frequency for the day. It changes the architecture of the day's unfolding, because a consciousness that begins the day from unity rather than separation does not navigate the world the way a consciousness beginning from lack does. From unity, every decision is made from a different ground. From unity, every interaction carries a different quality. From unity, the monad's guidance, which has always been broadcasting, can actually be heard. Because the static of separation has been replaced, at least for the morning hours, by the clarity of connection. And as the practice accumulates over days and weeks, that morning clarity begins to extend further and further into each day. The window that was 5 seconds becomes an hour. The hour becomes a morning. The morning becomes a way of moving through the world that the Gnostics called gnosis, direct knowing, on navigating life from the frequency of source rather than the frequency of fear. Let me tell you what the days look like when this practice is established. The Pistis Sophia records something remarkable. In one of the private sessions with the inner circle, Jesus describes what he calls the day that serves the soul, not the day that the material world demands from you, not the day shaped by obligation and reaction and the exhausting management of archon-generated anxiety. The day that serves the soul is a day that unfolds from the morning gate outward, carrying the frequency of monad contact through every hour. And Jesus describes specific signs by which you will know that your day is a day that serves the soul rather than a day that serves the material program. The first sign is that decisions come easily, not recklessly, not impulsively, but with a quiet certainty that does not require extended deliberation. The pneumatic faculty, the divine knowing that lives below the rational mind, is active and accessible. You feel the right direction before you can explain it. And when you follow that feeling rather than overriding it with the rational mind's endless anxious calculation, the outcome consistently confirms the feeling was accurate. This is not magic. This is the monad's intelligence, which operates from a position of total awareness, briefly becoming available to your conscious decision-making rather than being buried under archon static. The second sign is what the Gnostics called true meeting, encounters with other souls that carry an unmistakable quality of significance. You have had these encounters before in your life, the ones where a conversation goes somewhere unexpected, where a stranger says exactly the words you needed to hear, where a chance meeting unfolds into something that changes the direction of everything. These encounters are not random. They are the monad coordinating the material world from above the archon frequencies, placing precisely the right consciousness in precisely the right location at precisely the right moment. On ordinary days, when you are vibrating at the archon frequencies, these true meetings still occur, but you are too static-filled to recognize them. You walk past them. On a day that begins with the morning gate practice, your pneumatic recognition is active enough to see them clearly. The third sign is the quality of your tiredness at the end of the day. On an ordinary archon frequency day, the exhaustion you carry at nightfall is a heavy, depleted tiredness. The tiredness of a system that has been running on stress hormones and reactive thinking, and the chronic low-grade fear of a consciousness that spent its day in separation from its source. On a day that begins with the morning gate practice, the tiredness at nightfall is different. It is a clean tiredness, the tiredness of genuine use, of consciousness that was fully present for its own life, that engaged with the world from a place of connection rather than fear, that expended its energy building rather than defending. And in that clean tiredness, as you cross back toward sleep, as the threshold approaches again from the other side, the monad frequency is stronger rather than weaker, because you spent the day in relative proximity to it rather than in flight from it. And the sleep you enter from that state, the true dream that becomes available to a consciousness that crossed the morning gate correctly, is of a quality that ordinary sleep can only approximate. Now I need to tell you about the resistance, because it will come. The Gnostic teachers were meticulous about preparing their students for what happens when the morning gate practice is first attempted, because the resistance is immediate and it is sophisticated, and if you are not warned about it, it will look convincing. The first morning you attempt this, and I mean the literal first morning, before you have even fully registered that you are awake, before you have consciously remembered to attempt the practice, your body will have already moved. The conditioned program is faster than your conscious intention. The hand will have reached for the phone. The mind will have already begun its inventory of today's problems. You will remember the practice a moment too late and feel likely a flash of frustration or self-criticism. Do not engage with that frustration. It is an archon response. It is the material program recognizing that you are attempting to step outside its jurisdiction and generating precisely the low-frequency emotional content that reinstalls its control. The frustration is not evidence that you failed. It is evidence that the program is responsive to the threat you represent. You do not need to perform the morning gate practice perfectly on the first attempt. You do not need to perform it perfectly ever. The Gnostic teachers were explicit about this. The value of the practice is not in perfect execution. The value is in the repeated orientation toward the monad in the morning window, the progressive deepening of the pneumatic channel that results from sustained intention over time. The second morning you will remember a little earlier. The third morning, earlier still. Within a week of consistent intention, your consciousness will begin arriving in the morning gate already oriented toward the practice. Not because you have overridden the material program through willpower. Because you have begun establishing a new groove in consciousness, a new default, a new morning architecture that the pneumatic self, once it recognizes the value of what the morning gate offers, actively chooses. And there will come a morning, perhaps sooner than you expect, perhaps in the first week, perhaps in the first days, when you wake up and you do not have to remember the practice because you arrive in the morning gate already still, already in the recognition breath, already forming the first word of the day from unity rather than lack. The practice will have installed itself below the level of conscious effort. It will have become who you are in the morning rather than something you are trying to do in the morning. That is when everything changes. Comment the words, "I begin again tomorrow morning." Let that declaration be the commitment. Let the monad receive it. Let the other pneumatic souls in these comments bear witness to it. And subscribe with every notification activated, because the transmission that follows this one goes into the specific mechanics of what changes in the weeks and months after the morning gate practice is fully established. I want to return to the moment of hiding, because understanding what was lost and why it was lost is not simply historical interest, it is part of the activation. When you understand the cost at which this teaching was suppressed, when you feel the full weight of what has been kept from you and from every human being alive for 17 centuries, something in the pneumatic self responds, a righteous recognition. Not anger in the archon sense, not the low-frequency rage that feeds the system, but a clean, clear, luminous decision to receive what was hidden, to use what was buried, to become what those who buried it feared. In the years following the crucifixion, the Gnostic communities gathered in small groups in private homes across the Eastern Mediterranean. They did not have churches. They did not have hierarchies or priests or institutional authority. They had the teachings passed directly from teacher to student, and they had the practices, and they had the direct knowing that resulted from performing the practices. And the morning gate practice was among the most central of these, because the Gnostics understood that consciousness shapes experience, and the first moment of each day is the most powerful point of leverage for shaping how the entire day unfolds. Tomorrow morning, the gate will open as it always does, as it has opened every single morning of your life, as it will open every morning until your last. The monad will be there, listening as it has always been. And this time, you will be there too. Comment the words, "I will be at the gate tomorrow." Let that be your declaration. Let the other pneumatic souls in these comments see it and be strengthened by it. Subscribe and activate every notification, because the transmissions that are coming will take you deeper into the morning gate and into what becomes available in the hours that follow it as the practice deepens. Like this video, because the algorithm will work to suppress this teaching, and your action is what allows the others who are searching to find it. 5 seconds. Every morning. Already happening. Already open. All that was ever missing was you knowing what it was. Now you know. The gate is yours. It has always been yours. Go home to it.